Sheppard-Parrish, the Healthy Love Coach, and I want to welcome you to another year of our Love Breakthrough Summit. I am so freaking excited today. I have one of my favorite therapists in like the whole entire world that's here with me today, and he's going to pour into you. I know so many of you ladies have been struggling in relationships, and you get into the relationship and you don't know how to get out and how to remove yourself and get over heartbreak and the pain of letting go, when he decides to end the relationship, especially, or when you need to end the relationship. So we have Todd Malloy. He's going to be here. He's a licensed therapist. We're going to let him tell you all about himself, and then we're going to get started in our session for today. Welcome, Todd. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, Camille. I appreciate being invited back. Thank you very much.
Yes. And I always appreciate your kindness for coming back. So why don't you tell the audience just a little bit about yourself? We know you're a licensed therapist, so, this is no fluff and stuff. This is the real deal right here.
Well, thank you. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified sex therapist, and certified sexuality educator. For the most part, though, I consider myself to be a proponent in allowing people or facilitating people to give themselves permission to be who they are on the inside that doesn't always manifest on the outside. And I consider myself a part of the solution for the ills of society. Those ills are trauma, neglect, intimacy issues, relationship issues, life crossroads, and the like. What I like to do is partner with my clients, partner with people to journey with them to their most empowered self.
Wow, that's just so amazing. I'm so glad you're here. And ladies, so if you're looking to move past and get support at this juncture in your life and in your relationships, you're in the right place, right? So we're going to help you have a breakthrough. And today's breakthrough is going to be really dealing with what's on the other side of letting go. And so that's exactly what Todd is going to focus on today. And so I hope you have your pen and your paper all ready. If not, guess what? You can just pause and go back and listen again. So we're going to dive right in. So Todd, the title of this conversation is The Other Side of Letting Go. So I'm just going to come out and ask you the most obvious question I can ask you. What is on the other side of letting go?
On the other side of letting go is a true sense of love, a true experience of love is on the other side of letting go. Too oftentimes, what we're seeking is available to us, but whether consciously, definitely subconsciously, we're in our way of attaining what it is we're looking for. So, by nature, by design, we all want to be loved. We all want to know that we fit. We all want to know that we belong, that we're wanted and desired. Attachment theory has taught that and proven that for over the last 60 years. The challenge is after we're born. After we're born, then life happens. We have family function, we have relationship issues, we have traumas, neglect. Not always intentional. People do the best they can with what they have. However, there is an impact to not having an emotionally balanced family, or being impacted by some form of drug abuse, or again, there's no house or family that's perfect. So we are impacted by our history. And the question is, how were we impacted such that it's affecting our ability to be in healthy relationships? When we were born, we were all perfect. Then again, life happens, the family of origin issues, and as a result, all of these factors have an internal impact on us. And we create stories based on the experiences that we have throughout our lives. Stories like, my father was a controlling person and it made my mother look weak, and I'm never going to allow anybody to do that. That's immediately a wall going up between us and the person that we're in relationship with, because we're always looking for that possibility. In addition to that, another story is I've been betrayed by every man in my life: my grandfather, my father, my boyfriends, my first husband, and I'm not going to allow that to happen again. So now, as opposed to being someone that has been betrayed, now I become very controlling, or I'm the one betraying someone because I will not be the victim. You know, again, a wall goes up, barriers go up. And in these types of situations, what happens is what we call a neural hijacking. You know, I always share that feelings, how I feel is more important than the people I'm talking to or my environment, the words that I'm using. Because we may not always remember the spatial features, we may not always remember exactly what was said, but we remember how we feel. So if I'm communicating with someone and I feel today the way that I felt yesterday in a previous relationship and the family of origin issues, there's a neural hijacking that happens. That means I blend the moments and I respond today as though I'm back here because the feelings are the same. I built a wall and the wall is saying, warning, warning, danger, danger. You're in a position of being controlled. Whether it's true or not, we respond as though it is true. It's only our perception. It's not true until we're able to level set that with the person. But too often times we're very reactive and we just go with the feeling as opposed to stopping, pausing, and really processing in the now what's really going on and is there any validity to my experience? That makes sense?
That makes a ton of sense, Todd. So I want to play devil advocate for a moment. So, okay, so we all want to fit in. We all want to belong. So that's kind of the attachment theory that you were talking about. But then life happens, right? We're born, we're, you know, little infant, we grow up, we enjoy life, and then life happens, crap happens, right, to us. And we have all of these experiences. And so what I'm hearing from you is that the experiences are valid. The experiences happen. We have these feelings from these experiences and the things that have happened to us, but it seems to be our interpretation and maybe how we respond and work through those experiences that causes us to have some challenges.
Correct. Because think about this, we all want to be safe. So as we're getting data points from our experiences and our life, we're creating a framework that will allow us to be safest. However, as we're forming this cocoon to be safe in, we're consistently being dynamic and changing throughout life. So I'm creating a cocoon based on my family of origin, but I've outlived my family of origin because now I'm an adult. But unfortunately, I'm still functioning with an old mindset in a new paradigm. I.e., now I'm in my own way for accomplishing what it is I'm looking for in my present moment because I'm using an old mindset.
That is so juicy. And so, although we have grown up, and I, you know, I like to talk about that grown little girl inside. And so, although that little girl is now an adult, we are still functioning almost as if we are still in those situations. And so we may have these automatic defenses that pop up. We may have an automatic reaction to deal with our situation. And then we carry these to our adult relationship and we don't really understand how to let go of what happened to us and then how to deal with our relationship. So how do we get out of our own way? What kind of tools are there? I mean, because a lot of people are stuck in their own way and they can't get past this and being an adult, you know, in their adult relationships. And that's not just in romantic relationships, but that could be at work, dealing with family. How do we get out of our own way?
Well, how we get out of our own way is coming into an understanding of our truth. I even have clients that share with me, she said, I hear my 9-year-old self yelling and screaming and my 9-year-old self often controls what's going on in my life. And this is a woman that I'm speaking to. And one of the tools that I use is called the My Imago, which is my image of love and relationships. It's a tool that has been developed through Imago therapy that was developed by Dr. Harville Hendricks. And using this tool facilitates us coming into an understanding of what's going on unconsciously as opposed to consciously. What messages that we've attracted from a family of origin, and then once we begin to understand that, now we can work on our personal growth and development in those areas that we're lacking, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, for example, from Imago perspective, the perspective is that we attract people who bring us the form of love that we're most familiar with, for the better or worse. You know, in the book, Dr. Hendricks created Getting the Love You Want, he's quoted as saying, "You fell in love because your old brain believed that it had finally found the ideal candidate to make up for the psychological and emotional damage you experienced in your childhood." You know, basically saying that we seek to resolve our family of origin issues in our current day, our present relationships. Mm-hmm. You know, and oftentimes what I would add to that quotation is, oftentimes the stories we create as a result of our family of origin, they are reinforced through the relationships that we have if we're not becoming aware of our own baggage through the process. That makes sense?
That makes a ton of sense, and thank you for explaining that. And I always teach a process which is probably somewhat similar, where I really help women to heal from the inside out. So that's the biggest part of having your love breakthrough in the spirit of this summit, and really identifying what's blocking you from love. And from everything that you've said so far, Todd, it seems like we are the main ingredient that's blocking ourselves from love. And so, okay, so you've given us some of these tools. And again, just to connect it with, for those who are familiar with what I teach, it's like really healing from the inside out, doing your inner work, because if you don't do your inner work, what I hear Todd saying is that we're gonna continue to attract to us our ideal. It's almost like the mirroring, right, Todd? It's almost like attracting who you are or what you need to heal until you kind of get that healing, and we'll kind of get into this vicious cycle of toxic relationships trying to heal ourselves, and then it just seems like it just never happens.
Exactly. That's one of the things that we have in common. You know, we're very big, we both are in agreement that the things that we're looking for are not always externally found. Actually, we got to look inwardly to actually see what it is, truth is, what our truth is, and what we really want to attract and attain. We have to resolve that within ourselves first before it will manifest outwardly.
Definitely.
So, you know, one of the things is that, you know, again, just with the approach that we use, or I've used, is no matter what your conscious and no matter what your conscious intentions are, most people are attracted to mates who have their caregivers' positive or negative traits, and typically the negative traits are the more influential. Good, bad, or indifferent. There are a number of people that have affirmed this. Freud, Erickson talks about crisis during the social development cycles of life. Really haven't gone. I did the nerd thing, and I'm really trying to understand why we do that. I haven't heard anything definitive yet that resonates with me, but I'm going to keep looking.
Well, you know what I found, because as I go deeper and deeper, and you know, I have my PhD, and I know you have all of these certifications that really just blow my mind. But one of the things that I'm really coming to the top of my Maslow chart in my realization and actualization of is that we got to create the research, Todd. There is nothing out there. I keep digging and research and trying to find, but I think some of us, like you and I, because we're really teaching like the real deal here. Some people teach superficial stuff, and they're just kind of mimicking what's being said instead of really going deep and doing the research to find understanding and real and new and innovative solutions for people. And so what I've discovered, even when I'm trying to cook something, create something, and Googling something, how to do something, it's not there. So guess what? you and I may have to be the ones who are really breaking through to create this through our articles, our research, and our publications.
Right. No, very much so. I'm very research driven, research minded. And at the point, I'm finding myself at the fringes of current research. It's not going far enough. And I'm being more and more impelled to dig deeper.
Yeah, well, I would certainly love to partner with you in some of those adventures, because I'm stuck at the same place. It's like, and then not just, I mean, because I think you and I both know what's happening with our clients and with the people, and as you worked with me at my retreat this year, which I'm always so appreciative of. But it's like really how to get them to see what's happening without going through all of this turmoil and taking months and months and months, and then how to convince them really to do the inner work. Oprah says that if you're not working on the childhood trauma, you're working on the wrong thing. And I live by that with my clients, and I know that you do too.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm of the mindset we're all a traumatized people, and it has nothing to do with being born in a war-torn country. Really, it's about how we're reared as a society and in this American culture. When you're supposed to be seen and not heard. When you get a little older, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. When you get older, you're told to be politically correct, or your socioeconomic situation is a challenge. When are you told to connect to yourself, validate your own voice by speaking your voice, and understanding that there will be an environmental change? No, whether consciously or subconsciously, we're taught to go along to get along, but we can only do that so long. Because there's a yearning, there's an ache inside, there'll be a void that has to be addressed at some point in your life.
Right. And that's usually the point where I find that people are coming to run to individuals like you and I. They're coming to get their healing because it's breaking through that yearning, that desire to do more, that desire to get to the other side of letting go, to get your healing, to heal that little girl inside, to get out of your way. That whole desire and that yearning just really bursts forth, and they can't contain it anymore, and they're ready to run and really work with individuals like you and I. And that's why we have to always stay on the top of our game to be able to help others, and continue to grow ourselves, because like you said, we all have stuff. It's not that Todd and I are perfect. It's not that we don't have anything to deal with life. And that's the main thing I try to teach my clients. It's not that I don't have any issues and I'm walking around like an angel, nothing going on in my life. It's just how, I love what Todd said in the beginning, it's how we view those situations, how we respond to them, how we progress through the situation and get to the other side. And so Todd and I both have really worked with our client, especially Todd. I really love working with him. I know I've had several clients, especially last year, that got married after coming to the retreat, participating in my program. But I want you, I want you ladies today to really hear from Todd some of the successes that he's experienced in his practice, and some of the results from some of his clients. So Todd, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on and what success you've had?
All right, thank you. So, you know, what I do is I work with clients to communicate what's going on inside of them in a non-blaming way. Basically, it is what it is at this point. People, again, as I shared earlier, people do the best they can with what they have. And it may not have been ideal for you. However, you're in an awareness of the now. This is where I am. This is not where I choose to be. So now let's begin to build a path to attain whatever your goal is. And by doing that, you know, I use the tools like my imago. One of them is my imago. Now, I come from the perspective is that everybody is traumatized. Everybody has a wound. But even in the midst of us being wounded, we have to recognize that the people we're interacting with are wounded as well. And they're not intentionally triggering us. However, because we're not fully aware of ourselves and introducing ourselves to our partners, they're doing what their norm is that triggers us. We're doing what our norm is that triggers them. And it creates its own set of dysfunction. So by using the my imago, what it does is it gives insight into the subconscious. So now I begin to recognize some of my baggage that I bring from my childhood, and then allows myself to move forward. Like for example, few case studies before I transition into, because I will talk about how to go through the imago for the audience. I also want to say that they can go to my website and download it for themselves to begin this journey.
Okay.
So, for example, you know, there's Lola, who's a client of mine, who's 57 years of age. She has 2 adult children. She has advanced college degrees and a high-level professional. However, she was born in a family with a very domineering father who was very physically, mentally, and verbally abusive to the children and to their mother. She's been married for 35 years to a man that does it differently, but who is exactly like her father. Who is mean, cantankerous, has physically assaulted her, has called her his best mule, the best man he could have ever married. Now, she, even though she's unhappy with that situation, she's consistently looking for ways to stay in that relationship. Again, she's been married 35 years. And it's not until now she's saying, I'm living in a hell. Because it's like I'm living the same story throughout my whole life. Because now as I'm seeing this, I married my father. The same type of oppression that I had as a young woman is now what I've relegated myself to as an adult. I have Deborah, who's 40 years old, who is in a blended situation. It's her second marriage, has 2 children, one from her husband, one from her. But having been disappointed and felt betrayed by every man that she knows, now she's become very controlling and very structured in what her husband can do. So basically, he's paying the dues for all of the people before him. It's kind of funny even how they found each other, because there's research that shows traumatized people find traumatized people. Where so her parents are both full-blown alcoholics. She finds a husband from the other side of the country who both parents are severe alcoholics.
Wow.
Exactly. Cycles repeating itself. You know, you also have, Veronica, who's 39 years old, been married 12 years, who comes from, again, in her particular, a domineering father. She sees her mother as weak. She's already told herself she'll never be that person, but defines herself as being married to a chauvinist. Now, in her situation, it's very interesting because of her situation, she's hyper vigilant about not being controlled. So even if he says, honey, can you pass me something? In her mind, he's trying to control me. Honey, what time are you coming home? He's trying to control me. And he's sitting there saying, no, she said she was going out. I know I want to go out later. I'm watching the kids so I can plan the rest of my day. I need to know when you're coming back.
Right.
But again, it's like allowing family of origin situations to impact your now situation. So again, going more into it, this is where I would give each of my clients, whether it's the husband and wife or one individual or couple, is to begin the imago process. And basically, it's not very complex. It's a blank sheet of paper where you make 5 columns. And over those 5 columns, you label them A, B, C, D, and E. And then there's a series of questions for each letter that you will just answer. For example, the question for A would be, thinking as a young child from birth to 18, list 3 outstanding negative characteristics of the people who raised you or influenced you: angry, withholding, depressed, critical, things of that nature. And then it'll go to list their 3 positive characteristics for B, What do you recall as a child that was very significant that you needed, what you felt you needed the most would be C. D would be recall the happiest memories of your childhood. You know, did you feel happy? Did you feel validated through those experiences? E would be thinking back on frustrations of childhood, not just with your family, with anyone. Describe how you responded to that frustration. Did you work harder? Did you give up? Did you yell? Did you scream? And as you're going through all of these and answering these questions, then we ask our client, or I ask my client, to write a sentence on top of each category, each column. A, I would have them write, I am attracted to a person who is. B, I would say, write the sentence, and I expect her or him to be. C would be, so that I can get. D would be, and feel. And finally with E, but I stop myself from getting this sometimes by. Now, all of that, it may seem garbled to the audience, but again, I do have it on my website where you can download it and you can walk through very clearly. I just want to hit the highs. What I really want to focus on is at the end, at the conclusion of this activity, you'll come up with a structure that looks something like this. I am attracted to a person who is angry, preoccupied, and critical, and I expect him or her to be warm, loving, and supportive so that I can get more time and attention and feel safe. But I stop myself from getting this sometimes by denying the facts, keeping busy, shutting off my needs, and taking care of myself. But as we read that, we're looking at this, and this is, again, this is the unconscious speaking. This is the subconscious speaking. But by looking at this and reading this, and my clients are like, wow, this is true. This is true about me. This is true about the partner that I've chosen in my life. And it's not about throwing your partner away. It's about understanding your own dysfunction. So now I can create a better experience. Now I'm able to communicate to my partner what my triggers are and things that trigger me as a result of my past experiences. And now we can collectively begin to learn how to handle each other better. I often share that we're responsible for teaching people how to care for us. We're responsible for teaching people how to love us, but the only way that we can do that is by knowing ourselves. Is that fair?
That is totally fair. That is so insightful, Todd. I wish I knew you about 35 years ago. I know I don't look that old, but believe me, I'm in my 50s. And I wish I knew you so long ago, because I married my parents multiple times. And this is what you and I both try to really help our clients to stop doing. And it's all about doing your work from the inside out, as Todd just explained with this Imago process. I mean, it's a super powerful process. So we're going to give you more information on how you can go to Todd's website directly and download this, because it's super serious. I mean, because if you don't do this work, ladies, what's going to happen is that you're going to repeat the cycle, you're going to repeat the cycle, and you're going to keep on repeating the cycle. And you know what they say about continuing to do the same thing over and over again. It's really where insanity kicks in. At 19, I married probably a portion of my mom and dad and didn't know it. I married a man that was, because number one, I was sexually molested multiple times by 7 different people. And I always say one of them was a woman. And then I went on to marry this guy. My mom, she had mental illness, and her mental illness, I at least attribute it to mental illness. It could have just been her personality, because neither one of my parents were raised by parents. That's our generational curse, if you will. And so my parents didn't know how to be parents. They didn't have parents. My dad was in an orphanage. My mom was just raised by her grandmother, and neither her mother or father wanted to deal with her. And she ended up having mental illness, and she treated me She didn't have any emotional connection to me. She didn't love me. I was always a demon. Something was wrong, like this black nail polish I have on. Well, she'd say I'm being a demon and I'm doing witchcraft. And that's just kind of how she spoke to me. And then she was always very needy. So I developed this sort of codependence because we had to take care of her because she had mental illness. So we had to get up and cook our food and do our laundry and do things at a very young age because my mother was not in a full capacity to do that. As a matter of fact, she jumped out of a window in front of me when I was about 5 years old. So I've had a lot of trauma after trauma. And I went on to marry men who treated me very badly. My first husband, my oldest son's mom, my oldest son's father, he beat me. He was on drugs. I didn't realize it, the impacts of drugs, but he was doing coke and taking these little pills when we went out to party. I didn't really know a whole lot about it because I wasn't raised in that type of culture. And he got high, and when he got home, he beat the hell out of me every time. You know, even on our wedding night, he beat me. And then I went on to marry a Peter Pan man where he didn't do anything. He was like really laid back. And I mean, he had a pool certification. He was a maintenance and HVAC guy. Well, my water, we had a 36-foot pool in the back of this big, beautiful 5,000 square foot home. And he never could put the chemicals in the pool that were in the garage. And he's pool certified. And so I just a small example of having to take care of him and do for him, support him. He never paid bills. And it took me a while to realize that I keep marrying my parents in some way, form, or fashion. And I started trying to piece this together years ago before we had all of this information, and it was very difficult. So I just really started to watch my behaviors, watch my habits, starting to see what I was doing and who I was attracting so that I could fix it. And the interesting thing I want everyone to know about doing your work is that there's different levels. And if you don't do this work correctly, like with someone like Todd, and I'm not a therapist, Todd is a therapist, licensed. I am a coach. I probably can speak so much about psychology because that was my undergrad. So I want to be very clear that I never got the certification, but I had all of the training. And so it's very critical because if you just have a little bit of knowledge, as they say, enough to make you dangerous, you might feel that you understand what's going on inside of you. But if you don't really do that inner work to help that little girl inside to fully grow to maturity and fully heal herself, you might, what I find with some of my clients is that they attract a better quality of a man and a better quality each relationship they have, but it takes them some time to really get to the real juicy relationship because they heal a little bit and then they go get a man instead of doing your inner work first. And that's what I teach women, to really do your inner work so that you can really get onto the path of healthy love. And like Todd said, you might get into a relationship or be in a relationship where, you know, we're not telling you to throw away your husband, but there are things you can do to heal yourself. You can't heal anyone else, but you can do things like go to couples counseling again with someone like Todd, where he can help both of you see or mirror into your own soul and figure out what you need to do to get your healing, and he gets his healing. And then that's how you grow to a healthier love, right? And so that's just a little snippet, but I want Todd to really help us to understand from his point of view, what are some of the steps to really begin the journey to the other side of letting go of some of this childhood pain, this trauma, you know, this guilt, this shame, blame, and guilt that we might be carrying, so that we can really, truly experience pure love and healthy love.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That was excellent. I appreciate you being transparent. There are 4 steps. I try to make things as simple as possible. And there are 4 steps. And the first step is to go to my website, innerpeacecounselingcenter.com, and to download a copy of my Imago, My Image of Love and Relationships. Go to the website. It's a free download. Doesn't cost anything. You can do it as an individual, or you can do it and share it with your partner, for your partner to do one as well. And then you can create a discussion based on what your findings are. Secondly, is to be open, truthful, and accepting of your story. I recognize sometimes that when clients go through and complete the My Imago, that they want to wrestle with the fine line. Well, maybe it's kind of, sort of. In the midst of this journey, and this is why I would recommend, as Camille shared, is that you work with a therapist, work with a counselor that is familiar with the process to walk you through it. But to be truthful about the experiences that you've had is to be open, transparent, and accepting of the information so that you can begin a journey. Because once you're moving, even if you're slightly off, you'll end up where you need to be. But we got to get you moving as opposed to being stuck. And this is a way to start moving. Thirdly is to be transparent about who you are with yourself and with the people that you're in relationship with. Again, we have to teach people how to treat us. Everything we have comes with instructions. All the clothes that we wear have a little label on them, and it tells you how to handle them to get the best wear. As we're doing this internal work, it is our responsibility to begin to teach those around us how to care for us. So that, hey, here are my challenges, here are my growth areas. And this is how you can create with me an environment that will allow me to thrive and provide you with my best offering. But if I'm not in a position to do that, I facilitate the dysfunction and ultimately an erosion of a relationship that could have lasted. That makes sense?
Makes total sense.
Now, it is important, again, to teach people how to treat us. And also, it's very important, again, is to be open and transparent, because too often times we present the representative. But if we continue to present a representative, we will actually never know if we're accepted for who we are. Remember, we talked about attachment theory earlier. Everybody wants to know that they're wanted, desired, they're cared for, that they're loved. But if I am not willing to show myself, introduce myself to you, how will I ever know that for sure? You know, we all put our face on, we all put a makeup on, we all wear a mask, but at some point the mask has to come off and be able to offer our best selves, so we know that when we're in a relationship, we're accepted for who we are and receive the peace, receive the joy, experience that true love. And a key part of doing that and not allowing the neural hijacking to happen is something we've talked about previously. We call it being present, honest, sincere in every moment. It's really be connected to the now and what your current experience is, and speak from the experience that you're having, as opposed to putting that person in a position of being under judgment or under some form of attack. By being in the now and sharing your experience, now you're putting that person in a position to be a helper, because I'm level setting my experience with the person I'm communicating with, and they're telling me if I'm in the right place or not, if I'm back in my history or if I'm in my present day moment. Mm-hmm. They're a helper. They will facilitate each other being on the same page, so we can always get to where we want to be. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. That is so juicy, Todd. I love everything that you brought out here in today's session. This is like...
I have one other piece that I do want to say. I think is
Go ahead.
In this process, it can be emotional, mm-hmm. but it's okay to break down. You have to be willing to break down, because sometimes you have to break down to break through.
Exactly.
It's okay. Too often times I find people want to be hard, and even women can't cry. I don't cry. I'm from New York, and if I'm crying, it's really something more. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're going to have a breakdown, but that's just before the breakthrough, and it's okay.
Absolutely. Your breakdown will always come before your breakthrough. Many of us think that we can break through, have a love breakthrough, but ladies, just keep in mind, like if you do decide to get on the path and the journey of your love breakthrough, there will be a breakdown, whether you want it to happen or not. You have to allow yourself to just break down. You have to surrender to your breakdown, because if you don't, you won't get to the other side of letting go and having your breakthrough and really attracting the love that you truly, truly, truly deserve. I really love that Todd is offering this download for you. I do want to give you a bit of warning. When you download it, make sure you focus on ourselves, because so often we try to focus on the healing of our partner or that ideal man that we want to be with. And we want to tell him, here, do this download, do the work so you can get yourself better, so you can get yourself right. No, you have to get your own mind right. That's what the name of this game is. It's not about healing others. Even Todd could probably testify to this, and me as well, is we're both married, both have partners, and you can't heal the other person. They have to be ready. And just because you're ready to do your work and do your healing, you have to do your healing and walk through that path. So many women ask me, why is it all about the woman doing the work? Why doesn't the man do the work? We'll probably address that in another session. But what I want to share with you, I'm going to go to the scriptures with you for a moment, is that there's a scripture in the Bible that says, so that you can win your man over without a word. And it's really powerful. So when all else fails and you don't know what to do, I'm going to tell you, you need a therapist and a coach in your life, but you also, some of you need to really bring the Lord into your life. And when you do that, you really understand the balance of relationship, because God told us a long time ago that a woman should have deep respect for her man, and a man should have deep love, because he knew that women, what we are experiencing could cause us not to respect the man, because as Todd said, we could be living in our history, and it causes us to have control, masculine energy, all leads to a lack of respect. And because of his trauma, drama, and abuse that he may have suffered, it causes him to have a lack of love. As Todd mentioned in the beginning, we're constantly told to be quiet. You know, boys are told to man up, don't cry, don't show your emotions. And now all of a sudden we want them to pour out all of these emotions to us. So it's a delicate balance. Just remember, just because you're ready to get to the other side of letting go, it doesn't mean that your partner is ready. So give him that space that you've had to enjoy his journey. You can kind of guide him or ask him or even bring him along to a counseling session if he agrees to go. But you have to remember that you can't force anyone to get to the other side any faster than they are going to do, because it's their journey.
Exactly. Very good. Well stated. Thank you.
Awesome. So Todd, again, look, I love working with you. I mean, it's just always a pleasure. It's always deep. It's just my kind of time. It's no fluff and stuff. It's not like, let's give them dribbles and drabs. It's like, you know, we're feeding y'all a whole buffet today. So I hope you came ready to eat and really taking this information so you can apply it to you, not to someone else. So I know someone else that need this. No, it's about peeling back those layers and removing our own mask and really getting to our own healthy, our best version of ourselves and living our best life. And when someone sees us on that happy journey, ladies, I'm going to tell you just right from here, that is the secret to attracting the love that you deserve. Once you get your own healing, others will see how happy, fun, free-spirited you are, how you're not living in shame, blame, and guilt, and they'll want to enjoy the ride. And men just want to see you smiling and happy and having fun, and they'll want to come on. So attracting the love you deserve for 2019, ladies, might be easier than you thought. And I'm going to make it my business to make sure you know how easy it is to truly attract the love that you deserve. So Todd, before we get out of here, do you have any parting words that you want to share with the ladies?
Well, I just want to say thank you for taking the time and making an investment in you. There's no greater investment that you can make. And I encourage everyone to continue to pursue their truth, their authenticity, and have the love that they desire, because it's there to be had. Congratulations on taking this step in the journey and your continued moves to success.
Thank you so much. So ladies, remember to click on the link at the bottom of this video or in the email. It could be to the side, depending on how my team puts it up. But no matter where it is, make sure you go out and get this tool from Todd, because it's going to be so amazing. It will help you make your biggest breakthrough of this year, and it'll help you get closer to attracting the love that you deserve. Thank you so much. Please share this summit with your friends, invite them, send them the link, not send them the link to the video. You probably can't do that, but send them the link to sign up, so that not only will they get one video, well, they will get the whole series, because you never know where your friend might need support. We might think that they need support in this area, but because they might be wearing a social mask, they probably need help in this area. So don't hold back. Make sure you send them the link so that they could sign up and get this juicy information, so that they could attract the love or create healthier love in their life as well. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you love, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. Bye.
Take care.